Welcome to the introductory session on professionalism and integrity in academics. My name is Ross Silverman. I'm a professor here at the Fairbanks School of Public Health in Health Policy and Management, and I'm a professor of public health and law at the IU McKinney School of Law across campus. I'm a lawyer by training with a master's of public health, and I teach courses here in the school on public health ethics, law, poverty, and health, global leadership, and healthcare negotiation. Before I begin, I just want to let you know we're all really excited to have you here joining us as graduate students at the Fairbanks School of Public Health. I myself am an alum of Indiana University, and I came here in 2013 after 15 years on the faculty at Southern Illinois University because I believe in the mission of this school, and I want to be a part of a vibrant, new school at a campus with collaborators across the spectrum of health sciences that are working to tackle hard health problems that are facing Hoosiers, the nation, and the world. So before we get going, we're going to give you a brief introduction as you are entering into the graduate school program to help you understand the expectations as well as the consequences of failing to uphold professionalism and integrity in academics. I guess as the resident lawyer on the faculty, they bring it to me to talk to you about the rules and what happens when you break them. As a new student in the graduate program, you're going to be getting involved in a lot of new types of courses with different types of settings, different delivery models, different expectations, different types of products that you'll be developing. And with this, we want to make sure that you understand that there are certain actions that we expect of you, both in the classroom as you are serving as a representative of the school in working with collaborators and working with the community, and to make sure that as you conduct your research, as well as fulfill your obligations within your coursework, that you are going to be staying within the lines. So several different actions that exhibit professionalism. Obviously, the expectation is that you're going to be going to class and being on time and keeping appointments, both with your faculty members, with your fellow students, as well as when you work with outside entities during internships and externships. We're going to ask that you participate thoughtfully in discussions and be respectful of others. Obviously, public health gets involved with a lot of difficult questions that raise a lot of tensions and a lot of hot button issues in society. To borrow a term from the negotiation world, we want you to go hard at the issues, but soft on the people. So be respectful of your colleagues, get involved in the intellectual discussion, but don't make it personal. Keep it working on the issues at hand. Be prepared for your classes. Do all of your assigned readings before the class. It's up to you to understand where your grade is. Deliver on your commitments, and make sure that if you have a conflict, if you're going to be absent, or if you happen to be ill, make sure you keep your faculty member or whoever it is that you are working with up to date on your status. There are written university policies as they pertain to professionalism. There's a code of student rights and responsibilities and conduct that you can look to that deals with issues related to classroom etiquette as well as issues of disorderly conduct. So making sure that you do not arrive late to your classes, or if you have to be late, try to be as sensitive as possible to the fact that you're entering into a live class, and making your faculty member aware ahead of time that this might be the case. Making sure that you are engaging in the classroom that you're not getting yourself distracted through your cell phone or through looking up things online, that you are also going to be respectful of the teaching environment, and not interfere with teaching as it is going on. Another component of professionalism in academia is academic honesty, making sure that you are fully responsible for understanding what you are contributing in new knowledge and the sources that you are drawing upon as inspiration or to inform your research. Academic honesty, as the quote from the Faculty Council of Indiana University says, requires that any ideas or materials taken from another source, either for written or oral use, must be fully acknowledged. Offering the work of someone else as one's own is considered plagiarism. Plagiarism, because of the type of work that you're doing, you are doing written reports, you're going to be doing verbal reports, you're going to be doing research papers, you're going to be undertaking literature reviews. This is one of the most common issues that arises as far as academic integrity is concerned. And we want to make sure that you know the rules of the road as far as these issues are concerned. Anytime that you are using ideas or materials from another source, we expect that you are going to acknowledge that within your work. What is considered common knowledge, while that normally doesn't have to be cited to in research, please keep in mind that from course to course, what's considered common knowledge may not be so common. So you are better served to be over enthusiastic in your citations rather than to under report the sources of your materials. So plagiarism does not just mean pulling quotations or materials or graphs or pictures from other sources without proper acknowledgement. It also means the underlying ideas, the opinions, the theories, the formulas that may have come from another source. To use those without acknowledgement is considered plagiarism. That can be a direct quote, but it also could be the way that you may paraphrase the words or ideas or opinions, or the statistics that you are drawing upon. All of those different formats can be considered plagiarism. And in this day and age, issues of plagiarism can follow a person for as long as they are in their profession. The articles that you see here on the screen have to do with a writer who was working for BuzzFeed. Once somebody found material that he had lifted from another source in one of his articles, people started digging into past articles he had written to see if this was a pattern or if this was a single incident. And what they found was that in 41 of his articles, he had lifted materials without making proper citations in his work to others' work products. And this editor on BuzzFeed ended up getting fired for these offenses. Now, you may be getting involved with things during your graduate work, writing blog posts, writing issue briefs, writing reports. Some of these materials may end up online, so do keep in mind that your submissions may come in a lot of different forms, and you have to be aware of this, and that you're creating an intellectual record for yourself that is going to be able to be traced backwards in time. One of the biggest things that you'll be doing as part of being in a graduate program is writing large research papers, sometimes for things like dissertations or final papers, cumulative projects, and the like. This is a story of a politician who had a master's degree from the Army War College. Like most graduate programs, when students put together final papers, these are oftentimes compiled and submitted to their university libraries so that people in the future can look up this work. This man, John Walsh, had been appointed the U.S. Senator to finish out the term of a senator who had passed away. He also then decided he wanted to run for re-election in November 2014. The newspaper, the New York Times, decided to look into his past work at the Army War College and found that about a third of his final paper for the Army War College consisted of materials that were either identical or very similar to passages that appeared in other sources. And he presented all of these materials without attribution. So they found that there was massive plagiarism throughout his final paper. This led to him quitting his election campaign, and on top of that, the Army War College ended up rescinding his master's degree. So he ended up not only losing the opportunity to run for Senate, but he also lost his master's degree. There are a number of tools we have available that can help us in reviewing student submissions for potential plagiarism. Turnitin is probably the most familiar to all of you. Again, what these systems do is give you a sense of how much of the information is original and how much of it is similar to other sources. It's perfectly fine to quote from other sources in your research. The key is to make sure that you give it the appropriate attribution. And the key is not to try to put off other people's ideas and information as if it were your own. There are several different circumstances where plagiarism might occur. One, the most obvious, would be intentional attempts at cheating, trying to use full passages, things along those lines without attribution. There may be unintentional circumstances where you forgot to drop in a footnote as you were putting in a slide or putting in a statistic or something along those lines. There also is the concept of self-plagiarism. If you have written a report for another class using that material and reapplying it in a new setting might also be considered plagiarism as well. And all of these academic integrity issues can result in similar consequences. The consequences may vary by instructor, and they can include, but are not limited to, getting an F in a class, or getting a 0 on a particular assignment, or losing significant points for a particular assignment. And all of these issues of academic integrity are going to generate reports to Dr. Cassius and be put in your file and If there are repeat offenses, this can ultimately result in a student's dismissal from the program. We have an old saying in the law that ignorance of the law is no excuse. It is your responsibility as a graduate student in our program to understand how it is appropriate to use others' work, to make sure that you are attributing that work appropriately, and to make sure that you understand the different forms of plagiarism and the consequences for failing to adhere to those appropriate academic standards. I thank you for your time today. I wish you welcome again and best of luck in your studies as a graduate student at the Fairbanks School of Public Health.